just await the entering of the crowd as we all gather for this incredible time of the ThingCast. Okay. Alright. Are you ready to go? Are you ready to go? I think we're ready to go. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. 1, 2, 3. I press this button and go. It's working. You can hear the crickets. You heard the crickets? It's working. Okay, so welcome to ThingCast number 2, the end of year favorite things ThingCast. And I want to start by saying you are watching history being made right now, because you are watching the most technologically advanced ThingCast in history. So not only is this going out live, not only is there a live chat, not only can I talk to you in real time, but I bought this app. This is $8. This app, so that I can press a button. Which one did I want? Yeah, I'll press a button, and sound comes out of the iPad. So now we have like a soundboard and musical accompaniment to this ThingCast, and then we have a new microphone set up right now. So I got this microphone right now. It's actually the same microphone that I've used in previous videos, but now it is doing duty in this ThingCast, so we shouldn't be having the audio lag that we previously had. We also have the advanced technology of this t-shirt, as Adam has just pointed out. This beautiful t-shirt, courtesy of OmoCat. When I say courtesy, I mean I went and bought it myself on the internet, and it was delivered to me. So that is, I guess, a degree of courtesy. So we got this amazing thing. We got like this soundboard, $8 this app. I don't even know how it works. I don't know how it's possible for this kind of technology to exist in this world. The G-forces are killing me. So, yeah. And then I got these buttons that I can press, and then we got clapping and yay, and it's just amazing. Okay, so let's stop that for now. If you this app, well, there you go. Okay, so the purpose of today's ThingCast is the favorite things ThingCast, where I'm gonna be going through some of my favorite things of 2016, and you can also tell me in the live chat your favorite things while we go through these categories, and I will come back to you throughout the ThingCast. So someone's telling me the mic is too far away. There's too much room on your voice. Unfortunately, right now, I could bring up the mic. Let's try that. This is real technology that we're seeing here, right here. Okay. So this should be a little bit closer. I just want to point it towards the ceiling, so that we should really point it towards the floor, but then it'll be in the way of the camera. Blah, 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 blah. Hopefully that works out. Please let me know, of course, if it's working or if it's not. So let's go right ahead. Oh, first, also, before I begin, I should say thank you to all of you. You know, my regular subscribers, my Patreon supporters, people who donate on PayPal, people who, don't use AdBlock or whitelist the channel, people who do use AdBlock but feel like that they should help in some way, leave a comment or anything. You guys made all of this incredible technology possible, and without you, I wouldn't be here. So, let's begin. Let's get right into it, and we will go with, first of all, first category is favorite earphone. So my favorite earphone of 2016, if this music reminds you of anything, it is the Etymotic ER4XR. As you might expect, given my previous very positive comments about these earphones, I tried a bunch of different earphones this year. Right? I tried the Campfire Audio Andromeda. Very expensive earphone. Not made for human ears. Very painful to have in the ear. Nice earphone, sounds good, but not my cup of tea. I was sort of really surprised at how much I like this earphone. The ergonomics, just surprised at how much this earphone penetrated my ears and my heart. Yes, this is not a headphone. This is not an earphone. If you like your bass, though it has actually a really nice punchy bass impact. Good enough for me. I'm stunned at what Etymotic was able to do with a single balanced armature driver. The one thing I'll say is that the ears do feel a little itchy. You have a little adjustment time with these because they are this kind of deep penetration thing. But these are easily one of my top recommendations. Next to the Audio-Technica IMO 2, I think it's really hard to walk past this. And I know a lot of people are going to be skeptical because it's a single balanced armature earphone. But I think it's really fantastic. Now, MK in the live chat says, I don't like the microphonics of the ER4XR, but they do sound really great. I have to say, the microphonics, when you wear these cables down, they're not very good. I would very much recommend wearing a cable up, even though it seems a bit weird. I find that the microphonics are pretty under control. So if you don't know what microphonics are, that's cable noise, basically sound of the cable being tapped or anything transmitting through the cable into your ear. I think they're actually quite acceptable. In fact, actually above average, provided you wear them with the cables up. The other contender, I guess, for my favorite earphone of 2016 was the AKG N40, which I bought in Hong Kong. I do also really like that. I like the variable tuning of that earphone. And I think it has a really nice all-round sound. My two big problems with it, number one, is that the build quality, it's made out of plastic. It used to be that you'd pay $400 for an earphone. It was a premium kind of thing. It was made out of premium materials. It wouldn't have sort of MMCX connectors that kind of fizzed a little. I found I had this problem where on one of the cables probably because I attached it too many times, started to get dropouts. Not very happy with that. The build of the actual earphone, it's kind of like this cheap chrome plastic. Not the biggest fan. The sound, I find the bass is just a little uncontrolled, but it's a really good all-rounder. Note that I have not done a review on the AKG N40. I may do one in the future. I think it's a pretty good earphone, but not enough to be my favorite earphone of the year. Reno Kim asks, have you tried the Hi-Fi Man Edition S? I have. Is that the one with the covers that come off? I just think that that's just a bad idea, because there's no if it's the one where you can take the cover off and turn it between an open and closed earphone, I've tried it. Seems like a bad idea because there's not much to actually seal the cover to make sure that lid actually completely acoustically seals the earphone capsule, rather the headphone capsule. So and I don't know, as far as sound goes, I wasn't blown away. So let us keep rolling on. We're gonna barrel through this to my favorite headphone of 2016. Now, I tried a lot of headphones this year. I tried some very expensive headphones. I didn't buy that many headphones this year, I had to say, because I've only, been doing the reviews again in 2016. Pretty much, you are also going to be able to guess which headphone rather, is my favorite headphone of 2016. You've been staring at this whole time. It is the Stax L300. This is my first kilobuck, including the amplifier, kilobuck headphone purchase. So by kilobuck, I use this phrase a lot. It's a headphone over $1,000. Okay, I could say my favorite headphone was a cheaper headphone. Honestly, this is my favorite headphone. I know it's not within the grasp of a lot of you. I had to think a long time about getting this because there was a time when I thought $1,000 headphones were insane. This headphone, I would say, it's insane to say that a headphone over $1,000 is good value, but I think of the headphones that are around this price point, I think this is a stunningly unique headphone. It's the first kilobuck headphone that I actually find sort of comfortable. I should say no. I find the Sennheiser HD800 quite comfortable, but it's comfortable despite the heavy weight. It has this stunning kind of rendition of treble detail without being too sort of aggressive in that department. It's a lot of treble. It's a sort of at times hard, at times thin kind of sound. Again, just like the Etymotic, it's not going to be for people who want a warm, bassy sounding headphone, but it has this way of transmitting huge amounts of textural detail without sounding overly harsh. The bass is not it's not a huge amount. It's not going to be enough, as I said, for people. If you like something like the HD 650 or even the Elia, the Focal Elia, this is going to seem a little anemic in comparison. But at the same time, the bass that is there, I find, has a lot of slam and a lot of drive. And I went ahead and bought this thing, right? I tried it and I thought, I want to buy this while I'm in Hong Kong, while it's cheap. And I've been super happy. The one mark against this headphone, I would say, is that this headphone is built terribly, terribly badly. It's just made of plastic. It's just made of, the materials are just a huge letdown. And I mean, it's made in Japan. It's like, I'd expect this part to just, if you accidentally rolled your chair over it, which I sometimes do with headphones, that would snap in 2 seconds. So one day I might get the Stax L700, just move on up in that range. But if you want a kilobuck headphone, I really honestly think that you should give the Stax a go. They are, again, they're not cheap, but I think in this whole array of $1,000 headphones, this is decent value. Okay, so the other contender, the other sort of, again, bunch of headphones that I'm going to bring up that I actually haven't done full videos on, but I have mentioned them in previous videos. But the Sony MDR 1000X, oh, that was the wrong button. This is the first noise cancelling headphone that I've tried that isn't from Bose, which does as good a job as Bose in terms of the noise cancelling. I think it sounds better than the Bose. It sounds almost as good as the 100 ABN, which I also quite liked. I use as a desktop computer headphone, and I reviewed that earlier. I actually prefer the sound of the 100 ABM just a little more. It's a little less stuffy than the 1000X, but still I like the 1000X more than the QC35. I find it more comfortable than the 100 ABN. The touch controls are pretty cool. There's some little hiccups. The biggest problem with this headphone is that the touch controls, so there's these gesture touch controls. You can kind of swipe up and swipe down to change the volume. If you wear the headphone on your neck, sometimes your skin will activate the touch controls, so it will turn up the volume to full volume. And then when you put them on back in your head and you press play, it blows out your eardrums. So that's my biggest problem with this earphone is this headphone is the implementation of the touch controls, and I will be getting the getting around to making a full video about those headphones eventually. It's a busy time of year. It's been a busy year. In case you're wondering, I still haven't finished my thesis. Stephen Stu asks, Lachlan, you look so tired. Are you okay? It may have something to do with the thesis, but it may just be that the incredible amounts of technology, the G-forces in this setup are just killing me. Let's move on to my favorite album. My favorite album of 2016, and I would love to hear your favorite album of 2016. Please pop your favorite album in the live chat, because in preparing for this ThingCast, I went through my library and I realized I only added 5 albums from 2016 in my library. Like, I mean, albums that were made in 2016 that I added. So I did not actually listen to that much music from 2016. If you have an album that is your favorite, pop it in the live chat, and I will certainly be appreciative. So let's tone it down a notch. 2016 has been, I think, a really tough year for a lot of people. Didn't go the way that we expected, and I think we all know what I'm talking about. But I think it's an opportunity for us to come together and, choose something that we agree on, and that's music and good music. No, actually, I'm gonna go with the most divisive album of the 5 albums that I heard from 2016. It is Anoni's Hopelessness. This is one of the most political albums I have ever heard. So just right off the top, this is not going to be an album that is going to find everyone enjoying it. It's an album with a very, very angry political message. So this is Anony, formerly of Anthony and the Johnsons and Hercules and Love Affair. There's also production from Hudson Mohawk and 106 Point Never. This album is basically Anony's political statement about a lot of the things in the world that she's really, really angry about. And, I would say a lot of the political messaging in this album is just not particularly subtle. At times, it's on the nose. So I'll give you a rundown. The first track on the album is called Drone Bomb Me. It's written from the perspective of an Afghani girl whose entire family has been killed by a drone bomb. And so she's staring up into the sky and she's singing this love ballad about hoping that a drone will come and kill her too, so that she doesn't have to continue living. So yeah, that's the kind of political messaging you're getting in this album. The second track is called, "4 Degrees," and it's a song about climate change. And the entire song is written from this perspective of saying it's only 4 degrees. There'll only be a 4-degree change projected in global temperatures, so that's okay. We can watch all the animals and plants die. No big deal. So I don't necessarily agree with all the political messaging in this album, right? I actually think that there's a little more nuance in a lot of these discussions than perhaps expressed in this album. But it is nice to see an album that isn't like some kind of anti-establishment punk album or something. This kind of densely electronic, really wonderfully produced album that isn't like a sort of sit around the campfire, kumbaya sort of message, but something that's boldly angry. It's strident, it's political. Maybe you don't agree with what she's saying, but you can certainly tell that she cares about this and she cares about her art and using her art to transmit that message. And it's also an album with a lot of beautiful moments in it. It's a lot of distressing stuff, a lot of distressing material. There's a lot of tracks on this album that I'm not a big fan of. There's this one track where she complains about Obama and how much of a disappointment that he's been. Literally, the track is called Obama, and it goes through that entire message. Not my favorite track, but there are other things like the one track I would say I would listen to. The tracks I would say that I would listen to are Drone Bomb Me. I would say listen to Why Did You Separate Me from the Earth, because I think that's a really beautiful track, and that's an album that track is a really beautiful track, and it's sort of a questioning track of, I guess my take on that track was a message about why how is it that in society today that we've become so sort of separated from the environment. Even the most, even the people who, even if you care about an issue these days, a lot of times you kind of you care about an issue for 10 seconds enough to post about it on social media, and then you don't do anything about it. And I know I'm doing exactly the same thing. I'm going to talk about this album, and then I'm going to move on to something else completely different, right? But, I think the album gives you a bit of pause. So that's Anony, Hopelessness. I think that is my pick to 2016. The other albums that I listened to this year that I enjoyed but did not were not released in 2016. I'd say Always by Always is this track on Bandcamp, which I think it's always.bandcamp.com. I should really double check, but it's always spelt with two V's instead of a W. Really kind of nice indie pop album. Sylvan Esso, their kind of eponymous album. That was really great. Enjoyed that album a lot. Special mention, the favorite single track that I heard this year in 2016 is Shadow on the K-pop album Pink Tape. So the rest of that album I did not really enjoy that much, but Shadow, that one particular track, the second track on the album Pink Tape from the K-pop girl group FX, is this quirky, weird, kind of itchy track. It's kind of a cute, very saccharine kind of track, but it also has these really kind of slippery atonalities to it that I think it just makes it incredibly catchy. So that is, I would say, if you wanted to listen to one track from the ones that I'm talking to today, go and listen to Shadow, the second track on the K-pop album Pink Tape by the girl group FX. Really, just a fun track. And I also wanted to give a shout out because I've joined a couple of Discords now, and we've got our own Lachlan Likes a Thing, Shadowy Cabal Discord, but I've also been parts of other Discords this year. And it's been really nice because a lot of the Discords have this set up for an album club. So each week, someone in the Discord server brings up their own album, and then everyone listens to that album for that week, and then just kind of provides their opinion, just like a book club or something like that. The reason why I really like that, and I've heard a lot of new music from that as well, not necessarily from 2016. I heard a lot of new music. The reason why I really like that is that in a lot of music recommendations, threads or things like that, you just get a lot of recommendations at the same time, right? You ask for recommendations. Everyone gives you 100 choices at the same time, and I tend to digest albums and music very slowly. So the setup where each week you kind of step back and you just listen to the one thing. Maybe you won't like it that week, but to have that opportunity to really just go through something is really kind of rewarding. So I do recommend, if you get a chance, join an album club of some form. Hop onto Discord. You can join the Discord for Lachlan Likes a Thing. If you head on over to patreon.com/Lachlan Likes a Thing, you can join our Discord. There's an album club there. Otherwise, there are many audio related Discords out there with similar sorts of setups. Go find them. They're a lot of fun. Okay, so let's move on to the next category. The next category, which is my favorite anime/manga of 2016. Now, I'm gonna mention one first, which I think is basically the only anime I really watched this year that came out this year, and that is obvious. I think a lot of people who enjoy anime watch this in the cinemas. It was Kimi no Wa, or Your Name, directed by Makoto Shinkai. Yes. So I've followed Makoto Shinkai for a very long time. I haven't watched all of his works, but I was a big fan ever since I watched Voices of a Distant Star, which is this single sort of short film that he made by himself with him and his girlfriend, I think, at the time, doing voice acting. One-man operation of doing this incredibly beautiful anime short film. And from then on, he's gotten a bigger production staff, but he's had this focus on making these beautiful animated movies. And Your Name, which was released, I guess, in English this year. It's this kind of time travel buddy swap anime, kind of comedic premise, but it has this sort of twist to it. I don't want to spoil it. It's a really beautifully animated movie. It's not my favorite time travel animated anime movie. Like I would say, The Girl Who Leapt Through Time is still that favorite thing for me because I still feel like The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, even though it doesn't have the same level of kind of artistry or I guess emotional impact as Your Name, I feel like with The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, I really appreciated that story because it used time travel as an analogy for the question of that period in childhood where you're just about to make choices in life. You're just about to choose what you want to do for university, or you're just about to graduate from high school, and that thing of having that grave responsibility, and also that sense that you don't want to fritter away your remaining years of kind of young childhood as opposed to adulthood. And using time travel as an analogy in The Girl Who Leapt Through Time made that movie really special for me. So I really like that movie. But Your Name is pretty fantastic. If you got a chance to see it in the cinema, shout out in the live chat because I'd love to hear what you thought of that movie. I was actually surprised at the ending of that movie. I was expecting something, I guess, a lot more. I don't want to spoil it, but it's okay. Here's the spoiler. It's a happy ending. I was not expecting a happy ending for this movie. I expected it to be depressing and everyone would die or someone would die or something like that. Didn't turn out to be the case. So my favorite manga of this year was. I think you're going to be able to also guess this. Oyasumi Punpun, or Good Night Punpun, which I will say was not written in 2016, but the final English license is finally being made by Viz Media. It's very nice, really actually top quality printed version of this manga. I'm really impressed actually by the kind of just the quality of the way that this book has been bound. Really want to say that first about this edition. Now, Oyasumi Punpun is depressing. I'm going to say this right now. This is a really depressing read. So it's by Inio Asano, and the book follows this cute bird character from basically young childhood, high school ages, as he grows up. It goes through his life, and this is volume 1 of about 7, so it's a bit of an epic read. It basically follows his life going into this downward spiral, and it's like, if you can think of bad things that might happen to a person, basically this stuff happens in this manga. It's a really sort of perverse, ugly work with beautiful art. These kind of character drawings. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but he draws all his adults as these incredibly ugly characters, and then these, all the kind of his romantic love interest for this multi-year epic saga as very cute. Incredibly detailed backgrounds. And it's really funny because as each volume in this manga was written, Inio Asano noted that he would have a drop-off in readership because particularly after really terrible things happen in this storyline, where a whole bunch of people stop reading. It's like Evangelion episode 16, where it's so violent that a bunch of people were like, I don't want to watch this anymore. Sort of like that happens with this, right? There are moments in this manga where it starts off as this kind of sort of comedy about childhood, and it goes into this very, very dark place. And I'm going to say, Visionary Blender asks, is this manga more perverse and ugly than Aku no Hana? Undoubtedly, yes. So Aku no Hana, and I'm not saying that it should be some sort of competition, because Aku no Hana deals with its own thing about the kind of the question of evil, I guess, and the question of the corruptibility of youth, and in situations where someone is pushed to do something evil. But the things that they do in Akunohana are not particularly terrible. The stuff that happens in this manga is terrible on many different levels. Now, and if anything that I say here today, kind of affects you, or you're in a bad place, I do hope that you are able to, that I do urge you to seek out the resources that are available to you. I've helped, I've dealt with people who are in a bad place, and it's not, it's tough, and always, ask your friends how they're doing, even if it feels like a lame question. Don't take those things, I guess, for granted, and you get out of your comfort zone a little. If you see that someone's in trouble, go out and ask them, how are they doing, because a lot of times people will tell you. So I'm saying that because this manga is the first manga that actually made me think about suicide. And I don't mean it made me think that I want to go kill myself. It made me think about the circumstances in which someone would kind of consider it. And it made me think about, this YouTube channel, or a lot of things. I have a lot of strong opinions. I have strong opinions about things. I have things that I try to maintain in my life. Oyasumi Punpun is actually a story about where someone holds a particular set of beliefs about the world, and they talk about how they think that it's sort of like Catcher in the Rye, where you think people are phony or whatever like that. But the idea that, even if you hold particularly strong opinions about the way the world works, for the main character of Oyasumi Punpun, those opinions only seem to actually make his life get worse and worse and worse over time. And the whole manga is about all these different people with these sorts of very uncompromising, very human, but very uncompromising views on the world, and how where it sort of gets them. And I found that personally very meaningful. So I know I've talked a lot about this for a very long time. I really, really recommend this manga. Go out and read this. Again, it's not a fun read. Sort of depressing, but it's beautiful. It's stunning. I think it's a masterpiece. Go out and read it, and I'll be happy when I get the entire collection to go through this and do something about it. In terms of a video. So Stephen G says, I liked it a lot. I'm glad you did. It's also highly ranked on my anime list. I believe it is number 2, possibly, or it's very, very highly ranked in terms of manga on my anime list. It is dark. So I'm going to give you that warning right now. Okay, so let's move on to my favorite game of 2016. I'm going to play this music, and if you have played this game, you will recognize this music. So my favorite game of 2016. Now, I think you know that I'm not a particularly avid first-person shooter gamer. I tend to play more kind of simulation games, adventure games, strategy games, that sort of thing. My favorite game of 2016, let me bring up that thing, and this is the music from the game, is, and a lot of you have probably not heard of this game, Off-World Trading Company! Yeah! Off-World Trading Company, developed by Mohawk Games. Soren Johnson, the lead designer of Civilization 4. So if you like Civilization 4, that should be reason enough for you to check out this game. Off-World Trading Company is a sort of business production chain simulation real-time strategy game. And that might sound boring to you, but it's actually a beautiful, beautiful game. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of simulation or strategy games, I will say, a lot of simulation strategy games, when you play them, you can boil them down to just a sort of series of escalating numbers that the computer is crunching in the background. And your job as a player is just to keep pressing next turn, or just to wait until something else interesting happens. And the whole game, it's actually more fun thinking about the things that you want to do in the game as opposed to the actual mechanics of playing the game. Because very frequently, a lot of these uh, a lot of these strategy games are just a lot of waiting and just watching something grow. It's like, and it's dressed up in pretty graphics, but the numbers are just they're just in the end they're just numbers in the background. Off-World Trading Company turns this on its head. It's this game where you have to build production chains of resources against AI controlled or multiplayer competitors. Multiplayer is a lot of fun for this game, where you want to outcompete them on producing resources. And it is a series of escalating numbers. It's a series of escalating numbers where the production of every resource in a given map is subject to dynamic market demand, supply and demand. So if someone produces a lot of a resource, it will get cheaper and cheaper until it's so cheap that it's no longer profitable to produce that research, to produce that resource. And unlike a lot of other simulation games where you kind of build something and you set it in stone, you just watch it grow, a lot of Off-World Trading Company is about tearing it down. It's about on the dime reading the market situation at that moment and working out, is it more profitable if I continue doing what I'm doing, or I destroy what I'm doing and immediately start going off on another route. So you make these constant tactical decisions. There's no direct combat in the game, but it feels like this really incredible sort of very fast contest where you are just reading the numbers and you're trying to work out, hey, is this market signal, is this price going up because the production is getting lower, or is it because one of my competitors is hacking the market with a set of like sabotage or something like that is happening. So it's not only this question of making profit in this game, because everyone can make a profit in the simulation game. It's about making your profit faster than your competitor, and faster in such a way so that you can buy out your competitor before the game ends. So it's like this, every round is like 30 minutes or 40 minutes, very fast paced. It's like this kind of board game, but played out in this very aggressive pace. It's a fantastic game, and it has this fantastic soundtrack by Christopher Tin, who you may also recognize from Civilization 4. Did this incredible soundtrack which scales up depending on the different stages of where you are in a given scenario. So that was actually my favorite game of 2016. It's a little unexpected, but I got so much joy out of that game playing it just by myself and playing in multiplayer and jumping to the daily challenges every now and then. I recommend you go out and check it out. The other game that I really liked this year was XCOM 2. But I would say it wasn't my favorite because it was exactly as good as I had hoped it would be. It wasn't any better than I had hoped it would be. It wasn't any worse. I know there's a bunch of new patches. I actually haven't played with the new additions to the game. When I sort of get things set up, I will actually probably do another Iron Man run of XCOM 2 that I'll stream on Twitch. So you're very welcome to watch that when I get around to getting that all set up. But XCOM 2 was, it was pretty good. So Handswipe asked, did I ever finish Valhalla? I did finish it. I didn't finish it on the stream, but I did finish it. That was actually a little bit of a disappointment for me. The game was thematically quite sound, but the actual gameplay mechanics I felt for Valhalla, they weren't compelling enough, I think. And the narrative drive wasn't compelling enough in that game to make me think that I got a lot out of that experience. Like, I liked the world building in that game, but in the end, I didn't really get much else from the game beyond that nice sense of world building. So as a sort of, waifu simulator, I don't think it's particularly amazing, even in that sense. And I do recommend, if you want to play a sort of thoughtful, interesting waifu simulator, which is also, depending on your choices, it can be a hentai game or it cannot be. That's like, that bit is, that's up to you. But Katawa Shoujo is actually a very interesting dating sim, which I would recommend you check out. Made by people from 4chan. So you'd expect it to be much less tasteful than it is, but it's actually a very tasteful, thoughtful game that I recommend you check out. And you can turn off all the sex bits if you don't like them. Stephen Stu says, "What do you think of Final Fantasy 15?" Final Fantasy 15. I haven't played it yet. I've watched videos. It's like about a bunch of cute boys, like Bishonen in a car driving around taking selfies. That's what I'm getting from the game. I do want to play it. It seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. I haven't gotten around to playing it. Still playing in the middle of like Fallout 4. And I was playing Hearts of Iron for a bit. I guess that's the other game I should have mentioned for 2016. Anyway, let's sort of wrap things up. Oh, so I guess I'm actually gonna move into this segment now where rapid fire. You tell me. You ask me favorite thing category, and I'll tell you the answer. Okay, so let's do this as quickly as possible in the live chat. If you can do this, and I'll give you my scattershot answer. So, favorite movie of 2016. My favorite movie of 2016 was Godzilla, Shin Godzilla. Okay, pretty obvious. Made a video. Go watch that if you're curious. Fantastic. Favorite meme of 2016. My favorite meme of 2016. This is tough. I don't know if I can name a singular meme in 2016 that I was particularly attached to. And 2016 has been a rich year for memes. I would say my favorite meme of 2016. I don't know. I like some of the new emoji that is coming out. I know that sounds lame, but I like a bunch of the new emoji and the way people were using it. I liked watching that. Can't say. Harambe, I wasn't really around for that meme to see it take off, so I have no real attraction to that. It hasn't really gained currency in Australia, and maybe the people I follow on Twitter weren't such a big fan because I didn't really see that meme pop up until I learnt about it later on. Yeah. Okay, so favorite TV show of 2016. Favorite TV show of 2016. I actually, big shout out to Netflix. They started putting Cantonese subtitles on a lot of the stuff on Netflix, so I can watch Cantonese TV shows and stuff like that. I can watch English TV shows with my mum, which is kind of nice because we don't get much of a chance to kind of sit down and watch something together because of the sort of language barrier. So we watched a lot of Orange is the New Black. We actually went through the whole series of Orange is the New Black with my mom. That was really interesting to get her take on it because, Orange is the New Black, a lot of, I guess it's written from a very feminist perspective. A lot of questions about the prison system, the private prison system in America. I thought it was interesting watching it with my mom because she comes from much more of an old school Asian background. So she's not, basically, I don't think she's ever seen as much lesbian sex as there was in Orange is the New Black. So it's really interesting seeing her sort of reaction to that. I think it's a great show. I watched the new season this year. Didn't like it as much as the other seasons, but I would elect that as the one TV show that I actually watched for 2016. So I'd say that was my favorite TV show. And big shout out again to Netflix for putting Cantonese subtitles on things. It's really interesting because there's not that many subtitle options out there. Favorite song of 2016. So I already mentioned this. That was Shadow by Pink Tape. No, Shadow by FX on the K-pop album Pink Tape. Fun track. Philips SJ, favorite gaming device. My favorite gaming device portable gaming device. I did not buy any portable gaming devices in 2016. I barely touched my Vita, so it doesn't really work out for this category. W asked favorite hentai of 2016. I did not play any particular hentai game to my knowledge in 2016, so I cannot elect a favorite hentai of 2016. I would say that my favorite related. Actually, I didn't really finish Lady Killer in a bind either, so I didn't finish that game, so I wouldn't elect it as a favorite game. Yeah, no, drawing a blank on the hentai category. I'm very sorry if that disappoints you. So favorite mobile game of 2016. I don't really play mobile games on the phone because it drains the battery. I just spend my time on the internet, which drains the battery in a different way. So do not have an answer for that. Okay, yeah, actually, Visionary brings up a good point. I would say the South Korean scandal in 2016. I do not know if there is a particular meme about that, but that has probably been the most interesting story that I've heard this year. And you thought that the Trump presidency was something that you didn't see coming, you didn't think it would happen, it would be the craziest political story of the year. Check out what's happening in South Korea, because honestly, crazy stuff is happening in South Korea at the moment. So I would look into that. Favorite portable headphone, Sony MDR1000X. Favorite question, I don't know. So far these have been pretty good questions. Favorite footwear and fashion brand 2016. I did not buy that many clothes in this year because I have not enough money, spent it all on stupid things. Too many clothes to begin with. When I saw these shirts from OmoCat, so I'm gonna stand up so you can see this whole shirt. There you go. I don't know if you can see that whole thing. When I saw this online t-shirt brand, I thought I must get one of these shirts. OmoCat, OMO Cat. Check those out on the internet. Make amazing shirts. My favorite shirt of 2016. Okay, favorite. I'm gonna take these last three so that we aren't stuck here forever. Favorite color. My favorite color. I get this question a lot from my niece. She keeps asking me, "What's your favorite color?" I think grey is my favorite color, and I don't mean that in a sort of, oh, like that's, the world is grey. I don't care anymore. Grey is actually, I think grey is an interesting color. I like the sort of neutrality it represents. I like the way, the television's turned off. I like that kind of lifelessness, I guess, in that color. At the same time, I really like grey in the way it works with a bunch of other crazy colors. So grey is my favorite color. Favorite animal, shrimp, which you will see eventually. Favorite celebrity of 2016 is the last one I would take. Favorite celebrity of 2016. So is that a celebrity that's born in 2016 or they just did a lot in 2016? I don't know. My favorite celebrity of 2016. Drawing a blank. Don't follow celebrities. Really. I guess the biggest celebrity has been Donald Trump. And now he's president. So I don't know if he's a celebrity anymore. He's a politician now. I don't know if I would elect him as a favorite, but certainly I spent more time thinking about Donald Trump this year than any other prominent person. So I'm gonna call out for that. Okay, so thank you for joining me for my favorite things of 2016, and I'm gonna say my favorite person of 2016 is you, the viewer. You've been amazing this year. I came back from a 6-month hiatus and I thought the channel was going to be completely dead. Turns out that it was sort of only half dead. That's okay. I can't. It honestly. My thoughts about the channel these days are I want to do something that I enjoy doing, and I want to keep it sustainable. I want to be able to keep doing it. And I've made a lot of changes and I've done a lot of new things, and not everyone has loved the new things that I've done. A lot of people like them, a lot of people don't like them. Look, I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that you're giving me feedback on what you like and what you don't like, and I hope going 2017, I'm going to continue getting that, and we're going to, keep going on with this. So thank you for all your support. You've been supportive and responsive and all that stuff. So thank you. thank you again to all my Patreon supporters and everyone else, YouTube Red users, Patreon supporters, people who whitelist this channel on ad block, or even you just leave a comment. Leave a comment. I like nice things. I like to hear nice things. So, okay. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you soon. If I don't see you before then Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Enjoy your time with your loved ones, with your family, or whoever you choose to spend your time with at the end of this year. Take care of yourselves. Be safe. And goodbye. Happy Holidays. Merry Christmas.